Hey everybody,
Hey.
welcome to episode 14 of MAME Politics with your special guest again, Lori Kirchner.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going good.
It's going good?
Yeah.
Okay,
I just
good.
made some tea in my Gitmo mug.
Nice. So yeah, I'm gonna hop over to the chat. Give us a sec. Give us 1 sec. All right, so we're live. How's everybody doing?
Yay. We're all the way live.
So, yeah. So today we have kind of a weird game. Um, Weirder than normal, I think, for what I've streamed so far. This is a game called Guardians of the Hood that Lori specifically requested
Oh, thanks.
as as the game that we play today. Um, and actually, little backstory about this game and just how we're familiar with it. We went to the California Extreme event a few years ago down in San Jose, where they have pretty much every arcade machine ever made in a giant convention center that you can play. And there was a guy selling T-shirts, and he had all these old Atari game T-shirts for sale. And so I remember asking him, or I saw in the back corner, I saw a Primal Rage hoodie that had like Primal Rage logo on the sleeve and stuff. And I was like, hey, I was like, that doesn't look like a new shirt. I was like, is that a vintage hoodie? And he's like, yeah, but it was like an extra large. So I think I passed on it. And then he's like, hey, let me look in the back. I have some other actual original vintage Atari T-shirts. I'll take a look at. And he pulled out of the back a T-shirt for a bizarre game that I had never heard of called Guardians of the Hood. So after getting the T-shirt, I hadn't played it maybe for like a year after that, and as soon as we got this Pandora's Box machine, we decided to check it out, and it's quite a strange game.
Yeah, I remember when we were at California Extreme, which I've since learned from being on their mailing list several years now that it's a very grassroots, cool thing. If you live near the South Bay and you own an arcade cabinet, I'm pretty sure you get like a pass if you bring like even one cabinet. So
Yeah,
they spend like 6 months trying to get folks to like commit to filling up like this entire, it's like the Santa Clara Hyatt or some big convention center. And they also have pinball stuff as well. But I remember it's probably different because we haven't been for a few years. But it felt like it was like under merchandised, and so it was only one guy that had the good T-shirts.
yeah,
And I forget, you brought up some other like obscure game or something where you obviously like charmed him, and that's when he like pulled that Guardians of the Hood shirt out, and you were like, "What the hell? This is bizarre." And he just kind of gave it to you along with your purchase. And I remember I took it home, and it smelled like it had been in a cardboard box for 2 decades. So I washed it, and it just like disintegrated.
Yeah.
And it's like in shreds, like hanging in your closet as just like this relic of, I don't know. It was just like an odd thing. So
Hey Jake.
I didn't realize how terrible this game was, like in terms of like problematic politics, how poorly it had aged until we actually played it.
Yeah, so basically this game is a digitized sprite-based game made by Atari in 1992. Sort of, well, definitely after they had already peaked as a company. Just a little bit of backstory about Atari, um, and just an anecdote, because I haven't really told very many video game anecdotes. I know the T-shirts one sounded like a good anecdote, maybe to some people in here. This is kind of this is a low-key anecdote.
I mean, they can rate the anecdotes, but you've got a million gaming anecdotes, and I remember you just mentioned you weren't even going to talk about this, but you actually visited Atari.
I did, yeah. So my friend and I were really big into arcade games, and we happened to live, in the Bay Area, and the Atari headquarters was located in, I believe it was in Milpitas. So I think this is around maybe 2003, 2004. When they still existed, they still had a building and a lobby and a front desk and all that stuff. So my friend got wind of the fact that there was an arcade that they had in the Atari lobby at their headquarters with only Atari games. So in 2004 or so, we went down there. We checked out their arcade. It was actually quite sad because everybody at the company was sort of openly talking to us about how they're about to close, and this is like the last year they were going to be working there. It was kind of a somber atmosphere, but we got to check out their arcade, which was cool. And sort of in researching Atari, my friend, who's a huge arcade game nerd, discovered that there were multiple unreleased Atari arcade games made in the 1990s, specifically like Marble Madness 2, Marble Man, and Primal Rage 2. And those are actually available in ROM form. You could download them. But this game is sort of in between an unreleased and a released game because according to, what was it, Killer Arcade, or what was the website? How many units were made?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's it's like an arcade encyclopedia. I think it's like arcade-museum.org or something.
.com.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And it had said that there was 86 cabinets made of this, which didn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. And apparently most of them were sold as conversion kits. So it was originally, I guess, a 3-player simultaneous game. This game was in the arcade. And it's a beat-em-up game. And it actually has, in some ways, more impressive graphics than a lot of other games that came out in 1992. It's what they call a 2/3D game, or a
2.5D.
2.5D. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, you know. So 2.5D game.
So it's actually in 2D, but it scales the sprites when you move back and forth.
Yes, and it has like a fake 3D plane. Yeah, it scales the sprites back and forth. So we're maybe going to get to another game today. But we wanted to start off today's episode with this game, Guardians of the Hood. And
well, I didn't even realize these were, I mean, obviously they're real people, but like until you looked up like the promo footage for it, I was like, oh my God, they actually are like showing the girl on the bike and like the guys filming it like as if it's like, look at this cool high-tech stuff. And like, even though it was the early 90s, it was such South Bay production values. Like, you know, they didn't outsource this to like anything in Hollywood. It was just very, like, we're both from the Bay Area. And I, even in the early 90s, am surprised that a game would be made with the basically the heavies, like the villain gangs that you're fighting, and I guess Mr. Big, who's like the crime boss. They're the Dreads, which they look exactly what you're expecting like they look. The Shavers, which sounds like a skinhead reference, and then the Dragons.
Yeah, so they tried to be fair and not only focus on beating up people of color in this game by including skinhead gangs. But what I just noticed, again, from looking at the demo footage of this game, is the Dreads characters, which are probably, I guess, supposed to be Jamaican or African American. It looks like it's just played by a white actor who's been browned up in like the pixel.
Yeah, with like a Rastafari and
domain.
like Halloween wig on.
So yeah, so yeah, let's go ahead and check this game out.
At least the music's good.
Yeah, and we do have some political subjects we want to bring up, but first we're just going to get right into the game because, yeah, we're feeling it. So
yeah, I love that it's all supposedly like this, you know, multiracial group of people fighting crime on the streets that all just, I guess they're all just gym buddies. Because it starts at the gym.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about this game is that one of the lead characters you can choose is a giant buff white guy with like a belly muscle shirt on where his belly is exposed. And it's very dated looking now. Extremely corny. I can't even believe they put that in the game. But
yeah,
let's check it out.
Oh, so they do have the credits. We could look up these people and see where they are now.
Oh, they actually said what actors' names they were? Okay, let's do it.
Can you imagine that's on your IMDb? The music is really good. That's partly why I was
still... How come the start button's not working on my side? Try hitting start on your side. Okay, you got... Okay. Wait a second. We're having some technical difficulties here, people.
It's making the credit sound when you press the start button.
That is true.
Great. Do you want to back out and get back in again?
Oh, try pressing a different button.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't the start button.
Do you want to be the hot chick?
I got worried for a second.
Or do you want to be Chief?
I want to be the Connor.
Oh.
The guy with the belly shirt.
Well, okay. I'm going to be the hot chick then. I don't want to, I mean, why not? Whoa.
Looks like an Annie Lennox.
Michael Jackson.
Okay, here, let's bust out this FM sound.
Oh.
Okay, so how many different moves do we actually have?
Not
in this
enough.
game?
Not enough. It's not like Double Dragon where
So
it has
I'm
like
Connor.
depth to the play.
Lori is Tanya. Tanya's looking pretty good.
I know.
think. Okay, can I jump? Can you jump? Wait.
Yeah, you can jump.
Wait, so
It's,
there's a block. Where's the jump?
Oh, maybe you can't jump.
I don't think there is a jump. Looks like that's a block.
Well-
There's a block button.
I don't know why people. This game seems fairly beloved online, and I don't
Really?
know why. It doesn't seem like it's. Wow. And I don't know if there's like a special move that's like a combo button. Whoa.
So, part of what I want to know about this game is what hood were they trying to reference in this game? Because the South Bay, where Atari existed,
I mean, you know,
San Jose?
East San Jose.
yeah.
I mean, the fact that it has like an Asian gang, it's pretty insensitive. Like, San Jose has always been like a very like multi-ethnic community. So it just seems like they would have. I don't know. Maybe it was like edgy at the time because it's all about like crime and blight and
What the hell
dog
happened?
whistles.
Wait, I just went in the door.
Oh, great.
You gotta follow me in there.
Okay. Trying not to get my ass kicked.
Damn, Tanya.
I know. I'm looking good, aren't I?
Yeah.
Man, I wish I could ever wear a pair of bike shorts walking down the street kicking ass like that. Aw, little street ambiance. Whoa.
Tom Collector. Yeah, I wonder if Midway was making a reference to the Tanya character from here for MK4. Motherfucker! What the fuck? How are you doing the special moves?
I don't know, I'm just better at the game.
What the fuck?
Just doing a little spinsy.
You're not even blocking. You're kicking
I
my
know.
ass. Jesus Christ, honey.
What? I've only
God
played
damn
this a
it.
couple times.
All right.
You think I'm like firing this up like while you're asleep?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna pause it for a second.
All right.
I'm gonna get the music up more.
Convenient.
How are the levels of our voices? Are we okay? Are we all right? 'Cause we're gonna play up the music right now, just so you guys can hear how good it sounds. Son of a bitch.
Damn it.
I wonder if you can continue playing and I can bow out after I die.
You probably can. If it's arcade style.
Jesus Christ. Destroy me.
We should play Mortal Kombat next and you'll get your revenge.
Yeah, that's the only game I'm actually genuinely good at.
No, you're pretty good at a lot of fighting
But they
games.
they already saw me play MK1 against the computer and I got destroyed.
Well,
so-
I am no computer. I'm not even like a broken computer.
All right, so we gotta beat the Dredge Wave 2.
Yeah, this is where it gets real.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm totally dead. Okay, I'm gonna select. Wait, I could be Tanya also?
Yeah,
Fuck
do it.
yeah,
You'd
dude.
probably be a palette swap Tanya.
I'm Tanya. Oh,
Oh.
yeah, exactly. Wow, I can do a jump kick as Tanya? This is way better than Connor. What the fuck?
She is probably the best.
Yeah. She's like in balance.
I think if you go these buttons.
Wait, there's other buttons down there? Wait, how many buttons? Wait a second.
Oh no!
There's like 4 more
You
buttons?
just did like a Mortal Kombat Sonya Blade on me.
Wait, why is the FM music in this stage super weird? Here, I'm gonna turn this up. Sounds very abstract.
What? This is outrageous.
Wait, check out how weird
Now
this
I have to
music
continue?
is. Damn!
Is this guy
Well,
a boss?
that guy actually looks African American.
Cool. It's cool to hit start and have nothing happen.
Here,
Yeah. Ooh.
you could probably still jump in. Yeah, you can jump in here. There you go.
Clearly,
Hit the
Tanya's
same button again. Same button again. That you did to jump in the game. There you go. Yeah, what's up with this music? It sounds like an Odd-Tecker interlude track. Is it missing layers, maybe?
I want that pipe or that bat. Nigel, Mobby. I love how they're all named.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. congratulations to Jack Allison last night, who apparently, while Twitch streaming, managed to raise over $16,000 for the Bernie Sanders campaign. It's pretty impressive, yeah. And his article about Michael Che went kind of viral, and it was trending on Twitter, and all these comedians came out of the woodwork to try to go to bat for Michael Che. But one of the best things about it was none of the comedians who were defending Michael Che could actually say they thought Saturday Night Live was good and didn't suck. Oh my god. Why is he not getting hit?
I don't know.
He has no hit detection. Fucker. Wait, I can juggle him? Look at that.
Yeah. We should just go in here.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna turn this.
This seems like the game you've enjoyed literally the most.
So far?
Of all the ones we've played. Whoa. We're at the adult theater?
Are we?
This is really adult. This is a really edgy game.
Is it shadowing our fight on the screen? Oh, that's
sorry,
pretty cool.
I'm hitting you.
Wait a second. I want to check out these graphics right here. Look at this. It's shadowing. Oh, I'm dead. I'm gonna select this idiot.
Okay.
Big O. Look at him.
Try not to kill me.
Wow, he can do a belly slam, like a sumo wrestler move.
He looks very.
What the fuck? This looks like Pit Fighter. Very much so. And there's a lot of slowdown happening on this part too. You notice that? I think those shadow graphics above are too processor intensive.
Yeah, it does seem like maybe it ran better on the arcade.
Well, yeah, I would assume so. Wow. I kind of like Connor.
He looks so Steven Seagal.
Wow. No way that would
I like how you're very taunting as you walk back up to them.
Was I?
Yeah, you do a lot of grappling style wrestling moves. I guess that was the style at the time.
Some of these,
I'm about to fucking die. So anyway, were we gonna talk mid-politics?
Yeah, what the
mid-game?
hell was this to do?
Oh, this guy come here.
Wait, I love the zoom effect on this level. It goes
Yeah.
really deep. This is like the most 3D level
Oops,
so
sorry
far.
about it. Didn't mean to do that. I can't move with you?
Game audio is too loud. Thanks, Ned. I'll turn it down.
Oh.
Tell me if that's too low now. The Joe Rogan endorsement controversy, Tom Collector, basically all revolves around the fact that Bernie has climbed too high in the polls. So, because Bernie has climbed so high in the polls, expect extremely sophisticated paid smear campaigns and attacks to be leveled against him. I was actually surprised that Bernie put together that campaign video because I thought it was effective enough that Joe Rogan said multiple times he was voting for Bernie on his own program. Joe Rogan's fans are, it's almost like a cult-like following. They already know that Joe feels that way and that already has a profound influence. So I'm not sure what it actually gained Bernie necessarily to make a campaign ad showing him being endorsed by Joe Rogan. Okay, you can't hear me over the game. Can you hear me better now? How's this? You doing okay without me for a second, honey? Okay. Lori's gonna do the heavy lifting with Tanya right now. Try to fuck up JJ. Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess my thoughts on the Joe Rogan thing are I'm surprised that Bernie put himself under a target by making that video because I could have predicted that would have happened. Not saying that Joe Rogan, making a campaign video out of his Joe Rogan appearance or Joe Rogan saying he's going to vote for him is fair to attack Bernie over, but it's typically just going to follow the similar template. They're going to do exactly what they did to Bernie that they tried to do to Cenk Uygur. Cenk, said some sexist, misogynist things like 12 years ago on some blogs that he posted online, and even when he was on, such good music. Even when he was on the Chris Cuomo. Wait, you can beat JJ now?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna protect the hood.
Please be JJ.
I did.
You did? Fuck.
Ooh, he does like capoeira. Whoa.
Yeah, Adam G. It's not just that people grow. I mean, obviously that's the case, but it's also that times have changed. What was acceptable to do 10 years ago on TYT with their hot or not segment is no longer considered acceptable now in today's climate. So people also have to be understanding of that as well. It's not, I mean, so it's a combination. Now, if Bernie had said something really misogynist 10 years ago, then maybe it would be more fair to, pull out that attack against him. But this is almost completely manufactured. It's almost worse than what they were trying to do to Cenk when he was running, where now the media like CNN and all these, generic outlets are trying to concern troll Bernie. They're trying to concern troll Bernie's campaign into making it seem like it's problematic, and it's like not really that progressive. I mean, the most hilarious part about that is obviously that all these media outlets are not progressive either. They're far less progressive than Bernie or his movement, but they want to take this stance like they're somehow more progressive. We already know that's obviously not the case. How many of those media outlets actually talked about how problematic it was that we were murdering Muslims by the thousands in the Middle East during the Obama administration? I mean, none of them did. So it's really dirty. I think it's really dirty, but it's also surprising to me that Bernie would take a risk like that. Where what I mean by that is that Bernie is unwilling
There's
sometimes.
a flasher. Sorry.
Wow, that's narc style.
Yeah.
It does say Pit Fighter. South of the Border Smoker, good eye. It's a Pit Fighter ad in the background. They also have Road something 4WD, which is another Atari game that came out. Obnob says bad press is good press. I think in this case it's probably fine. I can't imagine it's actually going to have much of an impact on Bernie's campaign in a negative way. But I would rather Bernie attack some of his opponents more harshly rather than putting himself in the line of fire by promoting an ad like this. Because I don't know how much it's going to gain him. However, if maybe he was hoping to get some bad press, sort of like what Tulsi Gabbard has been riding on to a large degree, and maybe it will work, I think the attack probably did backfire. So, I guess I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. But yeah, I mean, it was... The guy looks like Bob Kelly.
He does.
He's kicking your ass right now.
He does look like a skinhead, though. He's like got the classic little braces. Fuck.
Has anybody been watching Impeachment?
Oh, no,
The
I'm
President of the
Javier.
United States right now is going through an impeachment trial right now. What do you guys think of that? Has anyone at all been paying attention to it? Because the consensus I'm getting from almost everybody I talk to is first that it's extremely fucking boring. It's excruciating to watch. The second thing I'm hearing from people is that they don't care because they don't think that Trump is being impeached for the right reasons.
Oh,
And obviously I can understand both of those things, and I agree with them.
why
But
did I do that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering what's the point of all this if the Senate is obviously not going to vote to remove him from office. Is this a new character too?
Javier. No, Javier's an old guy.
And he can throw fireballs?
Yeah, you can.
Can you kill those kids and the old woman in the
No,
background?
they are not killable. I can't kill the flasher either.
Yeah, I mean, well, Obnobs, here's another interesting thing. It's actually not energizing the base at all, and it's almost so off the radar that it's having almost no effect. So David Axelrod, Obama's former, I want to say chief of staff or campaign manager, can't remember the exact official position he had, but he went to a Democratic sort of election workshop where they work out talking points and they're trying to like plan overall DNC talking points in this upcoming election. And according to him, impeachment did not get raised as one of the topics of discussion until something like an hour and 45 minutes into the meeting. And they had already gone through something like 20 of the higher priority issues for Democrats going into this election. So he brought that up on, I think he brought it up on CNN as an example of how this is almost having no impact at all. So in terms of it backfiring on the Democrats, I'd say it will just embolden Trump to say this. He's been under a witch hunt this whole time. It'll embolden that side of the debate. but I don't know if it's going to backfire that badly. I mean, especially because no one's paying attention to it. It doesn't seem like the Republican base is paying much attention to it. It doesn't seem like the Democratic voting base is. Hobnobs, I don't remember what the top 5 to 10 were. Barbara, come here, baby. Go to bed. Go to bed, baby. Good girl.
Oh.
So, another thing I wanted to bring up is that has anybody seen the Ann Coulter interview from Frontline that's going around right now? There's this, I guess, this Frontline special called America Divided that I haven't seen, but according to Ann Coulter, she thinks Trump is lazy, that he's a narcissist, that he's nepotistic, that his family's worthless, that he doesn't listen to the right people, that he changes his mind too much, and actually she accused him of not listening to the right people and simultaneously being too easily influenced by the dumbest people in the room, like Rudy and stuff like that. So I found it surprising. It was just almost sort of refreshing. And I know that Ann Coulter doesn't like Trump because he hasn't gone far enough. I mean, she doesn't like him for the wrong reasons, for the most part. But Ann Coulter saying these things about Trump was refreshing because almost no Republicans are willing to talk that harshly about Trump. They're all very sycophantic still about him, even if they have, some minor criticisms about him. So I was really surprised she really unloaded on him in this interview. So I recommend people watch that if they're interested to see, a slightly different narrative. I mean, not slightly different, very different narrative than you're hearing out of any Republican right now. Because that's one thing the Republicans are still very good at, is these lockstep narratives. They're very good at all being on the same page about issues. And so to see people like Ann Coulter and Drudge sort of move away from being really super loyal to Trump, I think it's pretty significant. But at the same time, they're not really featured in the lineup of like important Republicans right now. If you notice that, they're not really like as famous or as mainstream as they used to be, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I mean, apparently, he just stands up. Apparently, Drudge is not doing any media appearances. Like, he refused to talk to anybody in the media, even though his page has become not, I wouldn't say totally slanted against Trump. Wait, is Boris now selectable?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to be Boris, dude. Kick your ass, dude.
No!
That's what happens when you're not Tanya against me. Wait, is that a project? You can throw a chain at me? How do you do that?
I forget. It's really... I've been having a hard time reproducing these consistently. These special moves.
Yeah, Drudge was the kingmaker. I mean, Mitt Romney actually went out of his way like a baby and complained in the 2012 primaries, or even the general election, that Drudge wasn't behind him. He was like mad that Drudge wasn't taking a more endorsing stance on his website during the Obama year. I mean, during the election against Obama. Hey, Bird Wildus, how's it going? Hey, everybody. Sorry I didn't have a chance to say hi to everybody today. We just jumped straight into the game. We gotta kick Lori's ass this time. Holy shit. Wait, so you can kind of do like a dive roll type thing?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, you got me this time.
I think we're gonna
Yeah.
do a third round now, because you won the first one.
Wait, what? You just do like a pose afterwards?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I wonder if we could bang this thing as hard as a real joystick.
Probably not.
Yeah. I feel like if we... I wonder if... Fuck, you destroyed me, dude.
Destroy you. That's my style. Oh no. Whoa, what is this glitch?
It's a glitch, and I'm gonna keep exploiting it.
No! No! That's... You can have that one.
You lost, so you have to... Wait,
Yep.
this is how they get quarters from you? So
Yeah.
if you lose the versus
You
match,
play
they take a
against
quarter
you.
from you
You only
also.
get a free continue if
Yeah.
you win. So it's a really... I guess it's a nicely put together game.
Boris, dude. We got 19 credits in this motherfucker. We're not giving up anytime soon.
How did
What
this...
the fuck? Wait. Am I just beating up? Wait, this is the dragons. These
yeah,
are the
I
dragons.
know. That's what Mr.
Wait,
Big just
so
said.
the dragon looks like they just hired like a Asian American actress in South Bay?
I don't know if they're Asian.
No,
I mean,
looks
they
Asian
probably
to me.
are, actually. They're
This is
digitized, so...
super weird. And it looks like they made her sprite larger than she actually is. Like, look how
Possibly.
much bigger
Yeah, she's scaled up.
she is than Sue Lee. Here's her name. And look how much bigger she is than me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a big lady. I mean, I don't know how this drag king started to control all of the gangs of the hood, but...
Wait, can we
they-
beat her up in the background? Beat her up, beat her up.
I can't beat
the
her up.
sleeping
No,
lady up.
I can't. You could just beat me up if you
I
want
want to
to.
be Javier. Fuck it.
I mean, he throws
I haven't
fireballs.
been fine yet. How come we're not Tanya anymore? I feel like she was the best.
Well, I think it just defaulted back to him.
Wow,
Whoa.
what am I doing to her? Did you see that?
Yeah, what did you do?
That was weird. I looked like I was hitting her tits.
Oh, well, I mean,
Look.
this is a very edgy game. We were just in an adult theater. Damn it. How do I do that fireball
He
again?
looks like AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, he does.
Doesn't he? That'd be good if he sat the wrong way on a chair at some point in the game. I'm gonna try to throw the dumpster for you. Let's
Do you
see.
notice that there's like no power-ups in this game whatsoever, too?
Yeah, of course.
It's just like...
It's a boring ass beat 'em up with pretty decent graphics. If it had better gameplay and some power-ups, with like weapons you could pick up or something, could have been a classic maybe.
Yeah. Tanya back in action.
I know this is a theory that I keep harping on. It's not really a theory. I mean, because I believe this is what happened. But I'm very fascinated, especially by any Republican figures right now who are going outside of the realm of what is the lockstep Republican narrative. Not just on impeachment, but also on Russiagate. So, for example, during the impeachment proceedings, before they went to the Senate, what happened?
Just a quick comment about this game is the visual representation of what Republicans mean when they say black on black crime. I mean, it is, like I said, I get what they're trying to do. They're from the Bay Area, but it didn't age well.
Yeah, there's a stripper in the background too. Yeah, this game is definitely
At least
problematic.
you can't beat her up.
I mean, at least they hired people of color to play these roles. You know, but it's almost like,
Well, it has a willful naivete about what actually causes crime and just separates people into these, like, quaint little, like, really awful cultural groups.
can you pick up the chair?
I don't... Maybe you can. It looks like you can. Sorry, you were saying about
What was it?
other stuff
I
entirely.
can't remember. Oh yeah. I'm very intrigued by mainstream Republican figures that go outside of the realm of the lockstep narratives right now. And one of the things that I find most intriguing that's not being talked about by Republicans, and it's for obvious reasons, is the idea that the original funder for the Fusion GPS Steele dossier, the Chris Steele dossier that all Republicans are saying was directly responsible for basically creating the Russiagate investigation, the original group that funded that was the Washington Free Beacon, which is a right-wing neoconservative news outlet. And the main person who apparently used that as a cutout to fund it, who used basically his own outlet to fund it through, was Republican neocon mega donor Paul Singer. And what's really interesting is Steve Bannon is someone else who's willing to go outside of the realm of acceptable lockstep Republican narratives. He said on a Breitbart radio interview that it wasn't the Democrats who were behind the Steele dossier, that it was the never-Trumper neocons, people like Bill Kristol, people like Goldfarb, the people at the Washington Free Beacon. And he said, look at Paul Singer. He said, Paul Singer is the one who started the dossier. These are the people who started the dossier. And he said this, for some reason, right when he was kicked out of the Trump administration, or fired, or whatever. And oddly, he hasn't talked about it since. So I find that particularly fascinating. Apparently, even Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch, who's become just a total partisan hack now, has also been talking about the Shearer memo, which is another dossier of sorts that also led through other channels to the Russiagate investigation. So apparently Republicans are starting to talk about that side of the narrative now, but only because it involves Clinton insiders and people on the left who managed to get that off the ground, like Sid Blumenthal and Jonathan Weiner. But they're not mentioning the Steele dossier's original funding, which came from Paul Singer. So I find that pretty fascinating, and I'm always really intrigued by when Republicans really talk about, you gotta play. Are you gonna play?
What? Oh,
Let's play through it. I'm gonna join you in a second.
Well,
Quan? Wait. Hold on a second. Who's Quan?
he's the guy you're fighting.
So I can be Quan? Or I can't. Oh no, that's... I'm sorry, I totally was an idiot.
Wait, you just continued my game?
Yeah, continue your game. We're gonna play through this whole game.
Non-consensual
We are playing
continues.
through all of Guardians of the Hood today. The one thing I don't like about this game is the stages. Like Double Dragon, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, all the cool beat-em-up games usually go through a lot bigger stages than this. Like, it'd be like 4 rooms, right? Instead of just like this one. We're in like the strip club for the whole level. Ruben Garcia, is Jamal Khashoggi the reason why the resistance is no longer pushing The Rock as a presidential candidate? Because of the WWE Saudi deal. I don't think that's the reason. I mean, I think it's because Jesus Christ. Wait, so you're Quan now?
Yep.
I think the reason why the resistance isn't pushing for that anymore is because the only people who are pushing for it were idiots who didn't really know what The Rock's politics were. Like, The Rock is like extremely militarized. If you didn't already know this, The Rock announced Bin Laden's killing before anybody else did. I am not joking. The Rock announced it on Twitter before the world knew that Bin Laden was allegedly killed. So he's really somehow in bed with all these like weird Navy SEAL people. You know, he probably gets off on thinking he's some kind of actual big shot and not just like a pro wrestler. So he's no Jesse Ventura. Let's just put that out there. Yeah.
No.
I'm exploiting that glitch again, dude.
No.
I'm exploiting it. It's not a glitch. I think it's just like I'm really good at throwing my character. Oh, you fuck. Wait, you have a knife?
Yeah. I'm an
fair.
Asian guy. Of course I have a knife. I'm an Asian gangbanger. Ooh. I cut you so bad you
killed
flew up
me.
into the
You
air.
killed me. Boone Ibera says his cousin is a SEAL. Interesting. I mean, that probably explains it. Am I playing by yourself a little bit? Or do you want me to play while you talk about that the Apple
sure.
article?
Yeah, why don't you wait till I die and then you can go in as Quan.
Okay.
And this is the knife trick.
Okay. It doesn't look like you're doing it anymore. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow. I want to play as that guy. I want to play as the guy who looks like a fat Boris.
Boris.
Yeah,
Or
that's
Tiny.
Boris?
That's Tiny.
Okay, I want to play as
Tiny the
Tiny.
skinhead?
Yeah.
I bet if there were a sequel, you could play as a skinhead. Oh, man.
Ruben Garcia is dropping some knowledge about G.I. Joe Retaliation, where Channing Tatum's character got killed at the start. Yeah, I thought that was weird. Did you get anybody here see Alien Covenant? Spoiler alert: James Franco isn't actually even in the movie at all. It just shows him die in hypersleep. It's super weird. It's very bizarre that he's even in the film. It makes no sense. It's also a terrible film. I really disliked it. It made me actually like Prometheus when I saw it.
Well, I should be dead soon.
You think you're gonna die? You're not gonna beat Toots? Toots and the Maytals?
Wait, what's Toots?
It's Toots. That was him. The Rasta guy.
Oh,
was
really?
Toots, yeah.
Oh, that's not fair. I mean, Toots Hibbert is amazing. He should not be maligned. Oh, okay, I'm dead. You want to continue in?
I want to be JJ. Or no, I want to be... Where is he? Quan. Okay. So yeah, why don't you talk about the...
Oh, yeah,
thing you
switching
wanna
gears.
talk about, yeah. Lori's going to take the lead right now. I'm going to play games.
So what was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, the Blevinator. Did anybody read the Wall Street Journal article about the Blevinator? So Apple's VP of procurement got this sort of deep dive. I wouldn't call it a puff piece because it does talk about what a cutthroat, sort of legendary asshole he is. But I just thought it was really interesting. There were parts of the article where I was actually screenshotting it, thinking of sending it to Robbie. Basically, it talks about how the secret to Apple's, I don't know, continued profitability or supremacy in terms of being able to procure these, you know, rare earth-made parts and things.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from this extremely cutthroat VP of procurement, Tony Blevins. And I mean, I won't do it justice if I try to get into some of the intrigue, the actual ways in which they've thrown their weight around Apple as like a kind of, we deserve to own all the parts that we could possibly ever use. The way that they play these component manufacturers, it's pretty shocking. Like, I just remember reading it, and you know, unlike your experience, I've been in the corporate world for quite a long time, and you know, I'm not even like an Apple person. Like, you know, I'll be...
Yeah, you don't like using it.
No, I have an iPhone, but that's it. And so I just thought this was pretty interesting, because the way it opens it up as like, hey, do you really know the secret to Apple's success? Like, Tim Cook's been CEO for a while, but you know, he's been there since the late 90s. But what is behind Apple's continued profitability and supremacy as their products kind of get less and less innovative, more and more sort of irresponsibly created. You know, there was that recent news about how the AirPods are essentially trash in 18 months because of the way that they're glued together on the inside. Apple basically develops things with no awareness or value of you know, repairability or usability. And Robbie brought up iFixit, the company that Apple's had a hard time with for a long time, and how their entire mission was because they couldn't find a manual to repair an old laptop for Apple. Some guy started a whole company, and I knew that they provided like fix-it kits for Apple products, but I didn't know how much Apple had kind of gone after them legally to try to prevent them from doing these teardowns and writing up the full specs of each thing. So it's just kind of shocking, like, to think about what these procurement specialists, it's like this big deal guy at Apple makes millions and millions of dollars. The quotes about him from former colleagues are, his job is to Viking a town and get every resource out of it. It's like killing sheep versus shearing them, which is really shocking to me. Like, basically they didn't want to put rape and pillage on paper, so they used Viking as a verb. And the idea is Apple is such a big deal that for some of these product manufacturers that make these small components overseas, that's half or you know, a sizable minority of your business line. You literally can't piss off Apple, and you can't dictate the terms of your agreement with Apple whatsoever. And if you try to, they'll be very vindictively like punishing towards you. They don't care what happens to your company. Anything that they can develop in-house, they start to hire away the engineers that work for these companies. And I know that some of this is just allowed by free market capitalism, but it's funny to me as somebody who's never really been part of the Apple cult to see. This is the part that I almost screenshot and took to you just to laugh and say, look, I found the moment that Apple's like innovation died. In 1998, Tim Cook took over the operations, and his belief is that if you save 10% on the cost of parts, this is better for profitability and more worth your time than just trying to sell more computers. Mm-hmm. So Steve Jobs' idea was to own the core technologies in its products to make it harder for people to copy them, which is still something that they kind of try to do, but they do it in like the worst ways possible. It's really worth reading. I think it's a free article on Wall Street Journal, and it gives you this background of this guy where it really does make it sound like, hey, he's just, he's a really smart guy. He's just really cutthroat. That's how you have to do things. The price of each component really, really matters. But I guess I just think about the long-term effects of what this does when we think about like why the Foxconn factory is such a nightmare, or why we're ruining, Africa and all these other parts of the world and just making it so that they basically live this extremely degraded existence, mining rare earth minerals by hand that get packaged and sold and resold to these fabricators overseas. Uh-huh. And it's just like he is at the top of an enormous food chain that he has kind of corrupted and violated, like the sanctity of like, oh, if you have something that's worth money in the market, we should pay you a fair amount for it. It is just so, like, you could literally make like a Showtime special about this guy. Just reading this article, it's a guy I'd never heard of with a silly sounding name, Tony Blevins, under the radar guy. And when I mentioned it to you, you were like, what's procurement? Like, you don't work in the corporate world. And like procurement is really kind of like the science of negotiating contracts and obtaining the goods that it takes to make your widgets at the least possible cost. So operationally, Apple's doing probably the best that it can do, but it's a sign that, since the late 90s, people have been in charge who would rather squeeze their production channels and their sort of raw components channels and do basically things that are nakedly unethical. Like, they don't care if they destroy your company. People will try to get out of their contracts with Apple, or they will take the ultimatum of like, oh, well, yeah, why don't you go elsewhere if you can find it cheaper? And Apple will just end up owning them or working with them in the future, or they'll be getting absorbed or just sort of cannibalized in any way. So it's an interesting article because it talks about this, and you don't see it talked about, especially in the Wall Street Journal. But it also just doesn't dig into like the ripple effect. The final boss. Oh, good. It just doesn't talk about like the ripple effect of it. Like, did everybody see that video of like Jeff Bezos on the fucking e-rickshaw in India, as if like he's gonna make India like a better place to live by filling it with all these rechargeable rickshaws in a place where like the infrastructure is extremely patchwork in India. Like, a few years ago, everybody, like many people, are still like shitting into plastic bags and flinging them elsewhere. So you think you're going to put these enormous toxic batteries out into the world and somehow maintain them over like a massive network of the Indian subcontinent? It's crazy, but it seems like good PR from this perspective of like, global capitalism will like save us all and like lift all the boats. But like, we've all read for years what it's like to work in an Amazon warehouse in America. Do you really think Jeff Bezos gives two entire like shits of a fuck about anybody anywhere else in the world?
Well, I was just thinking about how weird it is that Amazon bankrolled and paid for that torture report movie that's supposed to be all about airing out the CIA's dirty laundry about how evil the torture program was during the Bush administration. And it just seems odd. I mean, by default, it has to be some kind of limited hangout, not just because Jeff Bezos is a total monster, but also because the CIA got an unprecedented cloud storage contract through Amazon. Because Amazon, one of their other big businesses is server space and cloud storage.
Oh yeah, if you deal with a company, or if you are a company, you utilize Amazon Web Services. There simply is no alternative.
That's how they shut down WikiLeaks. One of the first times that it was attempted to be shut down, apparently Joe Lieberman and a bunch of other neocons in the Senate, I think, called Jeff Bezos or Amazon executives and asked them to remove their server. So WikiLeaks had to move their server to a more free speech, sort of civil liberties oriented server. I think, I don't know what they're using now, but they already got kicked off Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, that's. I was just talking to Yasha Levine on Media Roots Radio. The episode's probably going to come out this evening at some point.
I love Yasha Levine.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a great guy.
Definitely one of the best guests we've ever had on Media Roots. But he was just talking about how, yeah, all this Silicon Valley censorship stuff is bad, but in the background, it's the servers, the service providers that can just cancel you out now.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get enough pressure, that's a common practice now. And I'm not saying that I have any sympathy for Stormfront, but that website, that's how it was recently removed from the internet. Apparently, is they got basically pressured their servers. I think it was GoDaddy or another company. So that's becoming a common practice now, where you can get booted off your server.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, what was I going to say about Apple though? I felt like I had something to say about that. Oh yeah, for anybody out there who's like a creative who wants to use Apple software and doesn't want to pay for an Apple computer. One of the reasons Apple has become so litigious and trying to lock down their shit so much since they switched over to Intel processors is that you can actually make your own Hackintosh by building your own PC computer, as long as it uses basically people have discovered and reverse engineered how Apple's software and BIOS works. And there's lists you can look at online of what components you can buy, how to build your own PC to trick it into running Mac OS X, and it runs completely stably. It's far cheaper than buying an Apple computer. So if you're willing to take the time to do that and you want to use Apple products and you want to use their software, I would highly recommend you build a Hackintosh instead of purchasing a computer from them. I mean, their computers are the most overpriced things on the market.
I mean, I'll be buying like $900 Lenovo's, Austin Muerte. I refuse to buy a MacBook, and they're such status symbols in like most offices. There's a lot of politicking around who gets what like level of MacBook, and it's really sickening because they're like not a superior product any longer.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, the only reason I still use Apples is because I use a lot of software that you can't use outside of Apple computers. Like for example, Logic Pro or Final Cut. Those are two programs I heavily depend on, and you can't run them. I mean, you can maybe try running them in an emulation on a PC or a Windows system, but you just can't. I mean, it's not. There's really no point in doing it. And unfortunately, Mac OS X, if you're a musician, has much better integration of MIDI and audio built into the operating system than Windows does, and that's just the way it's always been. Windows has never caught up. So there are some advantages to using it, but don't buy one. Build a Hackintosh. It's not that hard. I'm definitely going to build one as my next project, and you can also build more powerful Hackintoshes than they sell.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually wanted to, like, they sell like 32 core Mac Pros right now for like 20 grand or something like that off their website. You can build one yourself, a PC equivalent for like less than 4 grand easily. So, yeah. Trish, how's it going? She just asked about Picard. If you can, how do you get that if you're not if you don't have a Prime account?
Torrents, baby.
Torrents. There are also, Trish, if you're willing to be patient on Google and do some Google sleuthing, you can also probably find Picard streaming on some illegal bootleg streaming websites.
I mean,
the best way.
It might not be like instantly streaming, but it'll probably be streaming shortly.
Yeah, I'm sure that parts of it are already streaming by now. I think it came out like last week. And also, the best way I found to be able to actually search for streams online that are bootlegs is by typing in like episode number or season number, episode number. So like
SO1, EO1.
Yeah, SO1, EO1, or S1, E1. Picard is a fairly easy way to find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Obnobs, help her out. Hook her up with some torrents for Picard. I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil anything. But I have my expectations very low, because as Lori and I have been reading about and watching videos about, this is apparently not canon. It doesn't take place. It apparently is not a sequel to TNG. They've done some funny things with their licensing agreements and the story to try to make it fit outside of the actual TNG timeline, apparently. So I need to see it. Will you watch it with me tonight?
Yeah, even
Can I convince
yeah.
you to?
I mean, last night you were like, "Do you want to watch Picard?" And I just the
She wouldn't
flat
watch it.
no.
She wouldn't.
I really don't like. I don't really want to watch this like crisis on like two competing media conglomerate licensing agreements universe. It's just not that inspired to me. Plus, everyone just looks old as fuck. So it's just I'd rather just watch Generations again. But that's me. Also like for torrent alternatives, like if you can't or don't want to torrent, or if like your ISP still sends you like shit about it. I know that when I wanted to watch What We Do in the Shadows after I watched the movie, even though I had what is it HBO or something, I couldn't watch it. I could maybe buy them for like $8 an episode, and I wasn't gonna do that. Even though I love Taika Waititi. But so I was able to Google it and by episode and find it mostly streaming because it's kind of an old show now, and the first couple seasons at least or whatever. And then I also got obsessed with one of the only shows that I watch, much to Robbie's chagrin, religiously is RuPaul's Drag Race, and they did a UK version. And it was not played here immediately, and I couldn't wait for it. So I did a little bit of Googling, and there, for anything that's like a cult following, there's like probably a Reddit thread about it, and people actually uploaded like videos of it to like open Google video links. And so that was a way that I watched pretty much every episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always a way to get around these things. And also, I would recommend. I'm not shilling for any VPN companies like every other big YouTube channel is now, which is really odd to me. That they're all doing little ad breaks for VPNs. I don't know if you hear those on your podcast, but I do on YouTube all the time. But having a VPN, a way to spoof your IP address, I would highly recommend you use that if you are going to download any torrents. Streaming things online, you probably don't have to worry. But if you're downloading any torrent of a major Hollywood film, you don't want to get your internet service provider to send you a threatening email saying you could be sued, even though it's probably just them blowing smoke and it's never going to happen.
Do they do that still?
Yeah, I still got one. I think I tried to download Tintin maybe like 3 years ago, even though I owned a Blu-ray copy of it, and because I couldn't find ours. And yeah, I got like a takedown notice the next day.
Sorry, somebody's asking who's my favorite drag queens. So yeah, Raja is great. Raven is kind of a jerk, but I like Raven. Alaska is one of my favorites. I love Alaska and Willem's podcast, Race Chaser. I listen to that all the time, and I love Trixie and Katya. I haven't watched the Trixie Mattel documentary yet because that's one of the things that I constantly suggest to Robbie, and he's like, "No, thanks." But I really think Trixie and Katya are great, and I think they're writing a book together, and they might be getting another real show in the future because they deserve it. I think they're very talented.
I like them. I dig them.
Yeah, he knows who they are, and
Yeah.
I think Manila Luzon is like the sexiest and best looking, but her music's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pirate Bay. There's a bunch of proxy sites for that, so check those out. But shall we play the final boss of Guardians of the Hood now?
Oh my God,
Let's
do it.
Yeah, so Lori's not playing right now, so we gotta wait for her character to join. I'm gonna try to escape this boss character.
I could get in quick. I just have
yeah.
to tap this twice.
Let's do it.
Oh no, I'm
shit.
Javier.
Oh no, I'm Javier. Wait, is that her weapon?
Why does it look like Tanya's?
She's a total dominatrix, dude.
I think no. Didn't we play something else where somebody was like a dominatrix? Was it Judge Dredd?
Maybe, but I feel like this game is pretty psychosexual.
Whoa! How come I can jump off people? Psycho and sexual.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's very psychosexual.
The guy put his whatever sexuality behind
This
the game.
this level is psychosexual because it reminds me of like John Waters being like the psychologist in Hairspray with that spiral in the background.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, isn't it? Why is there a Jack in the Box?
I don't know. Can I throw those?
No, I tried already. It's like that's supposed to be like the ring out.
Oh.
I'm gonna be Tanya. Fuck this, dude.
Well, I'm
Kick
gonna be
her
dead in a
ass,
minute
dude.
too, so I will probably also
Tanya.
want to be
Here comes
Tanya.
Tanya. Here, come down here so we can see shit. Better.
Oh, I could pick it up.
How did you do it?
I just was in the right spot and pressed the right buttons. Whoa. And we're done.
Tanya. Come here, Tanya. Wait. I want. Jesus.
There we go. I pressed the top right button.
Nice.
Oh, I got a good lick in.
Here, I'm gonna turn up the music a little more. Final boss, I might as well.
Oh no.
Jesus Christ. Tanya again. Tanya. I can't do it. It's not working for me.
What?
Picking it up. Oh, there it goes.
You have to be like just in the right
Yes.
spot.
So those are literally the only things we've been able to pick up in the game so far.
No, we could pick up the cans.
Really?
Just don't hit me with it.
I don't think I can.
Oh,
don't think
well,
there's
you
any-
could.
Huh?
There were cans, and then there's things in the fighting level that you can pick up.
Too bad you can't throw it.
Yeah, I love how they actually realistically block my path so that I have to go around it. These things have a long trail to them. I don't like her special move.
So I think we're basically supposed to beat her up with those, and they
Yeah.
disappear at a certain point. She's not even flashing you. See that?
No, we're
Dude.
definitely gonna die multiple times. And I can't
And
even.
This is like Mr. Big on Narc. They make like the final boss take so many more hits. There's like no other patterns either. Kind of a cop out.
I can't pick that one up. Cool. Guardians.
You can pick
has,
up these ones. Try to pick up ones on the ground.
Oh.
And they disappear.
All right.
I love how you can almost do like juggle combos if you corner them. It's actually one of the most playful things about this game, like a weird juggle mechanic. What was the other game we were just looking at when we were going through the Pandora's box that you can juggle?
Oh
combos?
man. There was one that we were like thinking about.
Yeah, that's a really big pleasure of mine. In any game, you can just juggle combos.
We got her. We got her. She's gonna die. Oh man.
You do it without dying now? Oh no, you just died. You got full health. Content. Here we go.
You did,
Let's see if
bitch.
there's an ending for this game.
Oh man, I hope it's that guy from the gym congratulating us.
I hope so too.
Oh, you got the final blow too.
The
Wait, I
movie
think we're supposed to hit a
adaptation is
button.
amazing. Who's Hergé? Are you familiar with that name, Roy?
Excuse me? Do you like the movie adaptation? You mean
Look
like
at
Kaufman?
we saved the world.
Charlie Kaufman?
We
We took back the hood.
We're supposed to be teens. in this
When no
game?
news is good news. Yeah, I guess we're teens.
Okay, so I'm basically gonna try to contact all these motherfuckers. Gary Stark, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna interview you about why this is so bizarre. Someone asked, Tom Collector says, how does Mortal Kombat, the only game to get digitized characters right? That's a great question. I would argue, though, it's not the only game. There are some other games with good digitized characters. NBA Jam, Terminator 2, pretty much all the games made by Midway. Even Primal Rage, I mean, even though it's a shitty game, it has bad collision. It has great visuals and great graphics. So I guess if what you're talking about is a mixture of good gameplay and digitized sprites, yeah, I mean, Mortal Kombat. I'd say Lethal Enforcers 2 is pretty good, too. I'm trying to think of another one. Tom Collector, Ed Boon's first game for Midway was actually a football game that I can't remember off the top of my head right now what the title is, but it's also digitized sprites. And Judge Dredd, which we played on an episode, is another game with digitized sprites that's awful.
Which I do believe is basically it was developed to look good, to
Yeah,
be sold.
yeah.
Like not to actually be playable or pleasurable or fun.
Should we try to fire up another game? while we're
Oh,
still on?
Hergé is whoever created Tintin. You read and watched a lot of Tintin
Oh,
as a kid,
okay,
like the
okay.
cartoons and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm late in life to Tintin,
Yeah.
but that fucking 3D, the what's his name, shit, that's amazing.
Oh, the Tintin movie by
Yes.
Peter Jackson, or no, by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was-
that movie was. I actually really liked that movie.
Mhm.
I used to watch the old animated show of Tintin, but I never actually had like the books or read any of the original books when I was a kid. I remember Ruben Garcia. Joe Lieberman got outraged at Mortal Kombat when it first got released. Yeah, that's actually something I want to break down on a Media Roots Radio episode. Is
Was he
how
on the PMRC?
no, but Mortal Kombat actually triggered some of the first congressional hearings ever on video games, and they played like Sub-Zero's fatality on like the House floor and stuff on a TV. Tom Collector says this attract screen is super Sega CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Spielberg is a master propagandist.
I mean, he's a master of and he's also probably a
If
propagandist.
anybody hasn't read this really long-winded sort of poem / essay by Crispin Glover,
Holy shit!
It's pretty funny. It veers into the anti-Semitic, but it's funny because it's basically accusing Steven Spielberg of being a pedophile.
Wait, and is the poem called What Is It, or that's the slideshow? That's like his separate thing.
I don't know. I don't remember what it's
Oh
called.
my god, he was at Sketchfest. He did a
know.
What Is It, and I didn't want to sit through it, so
Crispin Glover's a fascinating dude. He's aged really well too. Like if you see pictures of him now, he still looks really young. Like almost like he's hasn't aged more than like a few years past Back to the Future.
Like he looks like
impressive.
actual George McFly,
Yes, he
but
does.
without the
Yes.
weird makeup that didn't transfer well to the HD.
Yeah. So shall we play another Atari game? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
So we've already been going for an hour and 6 minutes, but I kind of feel like playing another game.
we could play
with you.
something sillier that we don't beat the final boss.
Yeah, of course. So one thing about Atari games, so besides this one, this is not a good example, but a lot of Atari games from this same era and earlier, like the late 80s, I actually think are really great. I mean, the Gauntlet series is really great. Paperboy is really great. 720 is really great. Tubin is another really great game. You're not a fan of Tubin.
I mean, I appreciate Tubin, but please don't. Let's not play Tubin.
And there's a few other just really obscure games that they put out that I think are like really high quality and just didn't get like very much publicity. I mean, Atari had already sort of peaked at this point, and I'm gonna do an episode where I go more into the history of Atari and talk about what Tengen is, in case anybody's not familiar with Tengen, which was like a fake Atari imprint that they used to try to make basically bootleg Nintendo games, and they succeeded, which is pretty crazy. So that's a whole other story that I'll unpack sometime on MAME Politics. I was thinking we could play Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters for a bit.
Okay, this looks like this is cute.
Yeah.
Is this like somebody was like a Trauma fan and they're like, let's make a sleazy?
I don't know. There's a weird. Okay,
overhead isometric.
I think a certain team that was developing for Atari in the late '80s, early '90s was really into the game Maniac Mansion.
Okay.
Which is like a really beloved adventure game for the original NES, and there's like several games that Atari made, including that. I think didn't we try to play Xenophobia that almost looks like all the characters are sort of like from comic books, and this game is kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
They look like it almost looks like an isometric Maniac Mansion in space.
Okay. Even though I'd rather play Elevator Action Returns. I know you already played that. That shit was hella good.
Okay,
no, it's too hard
let's
for
take
me.
a vote.
It's too hard.
Okay, you want to go to Escape from Planet of the Robot? Should we do Elevator Action Returns since I did it yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do. So we're gonna do Escape from Planet of the Robot Monsters by Atari, 2 players simultaneous. Year is 1989, and it has a fantastic FM synth like sound bed and score. So I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. Second processor has to load, of course.
Yep. Fired up that second
Raspberry
processor.
Pi has to make sure it has the second processor. A lot of Atari games use this bell chime, which makes it sound like it's going to have shitty, weak FM sound, but it doesn't. It has
It's such a nice sound, though, in a way.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's deceiving, because listen how good this shit sounds, seriously. Come on.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, we did play this, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. You can jump weird in this game.
What do those gems do again? Do we need to go up here?
Oh, we need to get the escalator.
Power switch to activate electrodes there.
Okay.
One cool thing about these Atari games also is they all have really nice like speech synthesis. don't know if you guys were watching this Shinobi episode from yesterday.
Get the fuck up here before I die,
Or
bro.
a couple days ago. But it also had really nice speeches. And that's something a lot of the home console releases of the games didn't do.
Don't shoot the slave.
Did I shoot a slave or something? Oh no! This is difficult for me.
Don't shoot the slave, honey.
I think you
Over here. Shoot the robots, not the slaves.
break into food lockers for more life.
Save that hot lady over there. Okay, save her. Oh, there's a food locker down there. I'm gonna go get that food. Check it out.
Do you need more life? I can't even tell.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Wait, okay.
Save that slave girl. Save the slave.
Okay, fine.
Don't shoot the slave. Oh no, I shot her.
Way to go, bro. Oh, what about that one?
Save her. Save her out.
Yeah.
To avoid cyber
You can
guard
duck?
attacks.
Can duck? What button is duck?
So it's like a one-hit kills game. Oh, duck is the third button.
Okay.
Oh, so I can duck and shoot. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, that makes the game a little more playable.
Cool. I'm
Can you
stuck.
avoid projectiles that way?
Did you kill a slave again?
No, I saved her.
Okay. Whoa, I can hop around?
Yeah, you can jump. The jumping is kind of fun.
Oh no.
You like leap in a really specific direction. Like an 8-way joystick jump. Here. Oh, we gotta hit the escalator.
Oh, you still get 100 when you kill them? Or did you actually save
I
them?
have no idea what that
Break into bomb lockers to collect bombs.
Okay.
is. Cool graphics. I mean, if the animations were a little better. I mean, this game, Escape from the Planet Robot Monster, I think what's it called? What the hell's the name of this game again?
Escape from
Escape
the
from the
robot.
Planet of the Robot Monsters. If this game was released on home consoles, I think people would have dug it.
I'm just gonna get up here.
That's another thing that's really weird to me is, I was just talking to Lori about this before we started, is why the Atari Jaguar, when it came out, why didn't they put any of these games on it? Like as a multi-pack cartridge or... I mean, I guess emulations of these games may have been more difficult back then, but they had Atari had so many cool games. I mean, like Primal Rage, for example. Did that even come out in the Atari Jaguar, I wonder?
I don't know. I mean, but we did talk about how there are a lot of good Atari games that they should have probably done.
Yeah, I mean, there was
versions
never
of.
even a proper translation done of Pit Fighter, even though it's not a very good game. There was never a proper translation even done of Paperboy.
Ooh, where'd I go?
But for anyone who's like a real arcade game enthusiast, check out
Here are the cyber sleds through the canal
Marble
mazes.
Madness 2, Marble Man. You need subtitles to hear what I'm saying? Is it too loud? Okay.
A bit loud.
Sorry. Went away from the chat. Went away from the chat, guys. I'm sorry.
Gonna
Wait. What the fuck?
we've got to race this canal race.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Try
This
not
is
to-
so hard. Wait,
Try to be almost as good as me. And then, there we go.
can you shoot?
Not really. We're just canal racing. Oh, I guess we went the wrong way.
Wait, reverse? Wait, this is like the weirdest two-player game ever. Wait a second, go to the side.
I don't think that side works either. Okay.
Probably can't go that way. Let's try it. Gotta go back again.
Okay. I don't like this.
I don't like it either. This is terrible. And we're gonna run out of time too.
This might be like a mini bonus in between.
I hope it is.
This has to
God
be.
damn it, better be.
I'm getting Battletoads PTSD from. Oh my god, speaking of which, what is that thing that you've been watching? We watched the Mexican runner guy play Battletoads, and it was like I never want to play Battletoads. I just want to watch that guy play Battletoads.
Yeah, we watched Lori and I
Holy
watched
shit, that
Battletoads
was
versus
good.
Double Dragon speedrun where the guy was just no, it was Battletoads for the original NES. It was a flawless game. And
Yeah.
that was the guy who was juggling. That was the game. So that was what I was just thinking of. Is in the original Battletoads, you can actually do juggle combos of enemies, which is pretty goddamn fun. And there's also a Battletoads arcade game on here that actually never got a home release, even though the Nintendo game is slightly influenced by it. Like it's kind of modeled after it a little bit. It's not the same game. So I will play that eventually. Maybe we can play that, Lori. 2-player episode.
Okay.
I know you're stuck out there. Why is the music playing so haywire?
I already did that.
Wait, I didn't even know we had bombs.
You got some. Remember? I don't have any. You have some. Try it. Maybe that's the second button.
Those little enemies.
Killer tracking orb.
Killer tracking orbs.
Wow.
Wow.
This game is pretty cool. It seemed a little repetitive.
Yeah.
I
there-
shot her by accident.
somebody's saying play some of the early Midway games like Joust 2 and Satan's Hollow. There's a game called Satan's Hollow.
Joust 2.
That sounds up
Okay,
my alley.
Tom. Well, before we go, we'll check out and see if let's do a little search for those. Okay.
Satan's Hollow. Satan's Hollow.
Yeah, we do have Battletoads Obnobs, and we're going to play the arcade version of it at some point. But let me first see if Joust 2 or Satan's Hollow is on here at all. And if it's not, we might have to sign off for today. But we'll give you a little bit more. Joust 2. Okay, it's not here. It's Satan's Hollow. Okay, there's different lists, so it's not. Don't lose hope yet. I feel like we would have seen Satan's Hollow on there. That's a very.
I know that would have been an instant click
Okay.
from me.
One more option here.
What was that other one that you said you had like a shirt or a soundtrack of? It was called Gaiden. Something Gaiden.
I don't know. Ninja Gaiden?
Is that what it's called?
That's not on. I mean, there is a Ninja Gaiden arcade, but it's
I don't
nothing
remember
like
it was
the NES
Ninja.
game, and it's kind of bad.
It was like Darius,
yeah.
Darius Gaiden.
Darius Gaiden. It's not on here though. I
Oh,
don't
never
think.
mind. Okay. Well, that seemed
Um,
like we were watching a lot of videos on YouTube
Okay,
last
let's
night,
see
and we
if-
didn't make enough notes about what actually was on the Pandora. So,
Satan's Hollow.
mm,
No.
Schmeiser Robo. There's some really sleazy like European games on here
Yeah.
too.
Should we just do like a match of maybe like Street Fighter 3 and get out here after like one match?
All right, fine.
Okay. We're gonna play a little Street Fighter 3 for you guys.
Somebody said that right at the beginning. Play some
What?
Street Fighter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
This one's for you if you're
got
still
your
in there.
wish. Although it's always hard to find on here. I feel like it's not in the same place as the rest of the.
I work in a lab and sometimes I have blood all over my gloves, and when I want to say something I have to hurry up and rip my gloves off to type. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for contributing if you're at work right now.
I'd love to hear Adam G. Maybe sometime off the air. I don't want you to get fired, but I'd love to hear what your job actually is and why that's the case. Or let's play this very hard game for a little bit.
In
no?
the hunt? Okay. What in the hunt?
Well, wait, hold on. I actually want to leave that for another episode because that's a good game. I feel like we shouldn't waste that this time. Here, let's see if Street Fighter 3 is on here.
Yeah, I mean, it is. With
Okay.
all the Street
Third
Fighters.
strike, guys. Third strike, y'all.
It's the X-Files edition. Fight for the future.
Yeah. This game is honestly, I think the best Street Fighter game. If I'm being completely honest, it's not people's favorite Street Fighter game, but it's always held a special place in my heart, and also has like rap lyrics in it and stuff. It's pretty over the top. So, Laura and I are gonna play one match on here, and we're gonna sign off for the day. So we want to thank you guys again for joining us this time on MAME Politics. If you'd like to support this show, you can do so at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. We have new episodes of Media Roots Radio coming out before February, at least 2 new episodes. And and if you also want to like get a physical good in exchange for supporting me, I'm still selling copies of A Very Heavy Agenda on DVD. You can get them at averyheavyagenda.com. So thanks for sitting through my plugs, my obligatory plugs.
No, I mean, honestly, though, like, you should get A Very Heavy Agenda, or if you don't want to own more shit, you should buy it on Vimeo. I think it's still available digitally. And, yeah, it's it's still it's more prescient and relevant than ever to see how the world that we live in kind of was shaping itself a few years back. So
Hey, Jason. He just joined the stream. Yes, we've been doing this pretty much every day for the past 2 weeks. It's a new stream series. And if you want to get access to all of the locked episodes of the show, you can do so through Patreon at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. And I made a playlist now for all the people who don't want to subscribe to my Patreon. You can watch all of the MAME Politics episodes on a YouTube playlist on my channel, A Very Heavy Agenda. Hit the subscribe button. YouTube will automatically unsubscribe you as well. So you have to also hit the notification button, which somehow has some kind of effect on making sure you subscribe. I don't really understand it. It's like it's going around YouTube all over the place right now. Everybody's being automatically subscribed to channels. So let's do it.
yeah, it's been great to see the response that you've gotten. It's been really positive. Like, this is obviously like a pretty fun and lighthearted format to talk about some heavy stuff. And I would just encourage everybody to go to Robbie's Patreon if you aren't already a supporter. And, you know, if you appreciate the work that he does, especially the podcast with Media Roots, it's a very, very worthy cause. Think of all the stupid shit you buy that benefit terrible people like Jeff Bezos and Mr. Blevins up at Apple. Throw a few coins Robbie's direction. It's very much keeps things chugging along and keeps him available to do the research that he does to put together such an amazing sort of trove of work at this point. So I'm very proud of him.
Thanks. And someone says Lori is dope. Lori is dope.
Aw.
Adam says.
That's very
yeah,
sweet.
as you can see. And hi, John. How's it going? Sorry
John.
you joined late, but I'll definitely make sure you can watch this after it's aired. Oh yeah, Jason, I remember you. I do remember that. Yeah, you know, Wikipedia actually removed my own entry because of non-notability, and it's actually happened, I think, twice now. So in between the time I last talked to you and now, there was a Wikipedia page of mine that was up there. It was taken down. It got put up again by someone, and then it got taken down. I didn't try to lobby for anyone to do it, to put it up. It was just sort of happened on its own. And, oh, Jason, it was you. Thank you. You added that entry a couple times.
Big
Well, I
ups.
really appreciate it. So basically what you're up against now is the rule of non-notability. So we had to fight a notability war for me as a personality to be able to be on Wikipedia. And the only way I think I can maybe bolster that is just to send you every like reference of my work appearing in any remotely mainstream media publication or you know, anything like that. So I can, if you're still willing to help me with that, I'll have to send you all that stuff. It's a pain in the ass to do, but I would appreciate that.
You guys can take that offline because I want to play some Street Fighter.
Yeah, and Jason Carswell, you will be against the Philip Cross or a Philip Cross on Wikipedia for sure. And hey, Michael, how's it going?
Michael, he's right. Non-notability is actual nobility. Like, if your notability is in question, you have to wonder who's trying to keep your
Yeah.
shit locked down.
Exactly, right? So, yeah, we're gonna play Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which runs off of Capcom's CPS3 hardware. And the game I played for you, I think, was it yesterday that I played Warzard? I'm losing track. I've done so many of these already. But Warzard, aka Red Earth by Capcom fighting game, is running off the same hardware as Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. But of course, this is all running off a Raspberry Pi. We're doing Pandora's Box MAME emulation. So let's give it a go.
Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle. Well, I got the picture.
Oh, you're the boxer guy?
Yeah.
Maybe the Russian punk who looks like one little weird mummy.
Ooh,
I want
that'd
to
be
be
a good
Oro.
one.
Oro's always my favorite.
I was actually about to do that
I
one.
can't, for
He's
some
so
reason, he's
ghoulish.
the best.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this. Fighters ready. Engage.
Oh man. Oh. Ugh.
What's something interesting about this game is apparently when they released it in the United States for arcades, they didn't translate anything. So all the voices for even all the American characters and like characters from different countries, they all speak perfect Japanese in this game.
本当に?
So it's great that it has a very Japanese aesthetic, more so than even like Street Fighter 2 does, because they're just like, fuck it, we're just gonna keep everything in Japanese, except for the intro music, which has like an American rapper, like MC rapping over it. Oh shit. I don't even remember any of the special moves.
I don't remember shit, and I've probably never played this version at any length. Nicely done.
Should we do one more?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
I want to pick somebody a little more fun. D plus. I don't know what that means.
Boone Hibera, the Lawrence Wilkerson interview in full of the section I put on. It's not the full interview, but it's the section that was edited out. I will be putting that online on Vimeo. I will be putting American Bisque on Vimeo as well. So, yeah. Lori's Chun-Li, John. I'm Oro. So we're going to, this is going to be our last match. We're going to say goodbye to you guys. Chun-Li looks great in this game. I always loved her sprite. She's got giant thighs. Look at that.
I know.
It's like very like thigh fetishistic.
Yeah.
Move around with her some more. Yeah, look how fucking good they drew such a nice sprite for her. And in the original version of this game, they only had, I think, Ken and Ryu. In the later versions of the game, they put Chun-Li in.
Oh. Or you know what? Yeah, I feel like she was kind of the, what's the really voluptuous game with the beach volleyball that's fun? It's a dumb game. Dead or Alive?
Jason Carswell. Yeah, I'm aware of that Vimeo did that. And when you say they stole $5,000 from him, can you explain exactly what happened? Did he just have money that they hadn't paid him yet from like a month worth of rentals or downloads? And that they just striped his account away? Yeah, I mean, I just have to be honest. I mean, I am more careful than Ryan Dawson in a general sense. I know that's not what you mean by being more careful. But, I mean, when you're sort of veering into territory where you're making things that could come off as not jokes, praising Hitler on Twitter, I do think you're working in dicey territory, even though I think someone like that should not have, you know, a company like Vimeo taking down their shit. I mean, I still think it's fucked up. But, yeah. So, I just beat Lori's ass.
Mm.
You feel like rematching me? I only got a D+.
I know. And still, that shows what a match I am. No, I think I'm good. I'm ready to...
Alex says you're not jumping around enough, Lori. You
Thank
gotta be
you, Alex.
more in the air.
Yeah. You meet me at the center gym. You should coach me before I hit the streets and take on the dreads. Oh yeah.
No, John. It wasn't a straight up praising. It was more like a joke, or you're trying to make some kind of rhetorical point on Twitter. But it came off like if you didn't know anything about his work, it would seem. It just was. I just thought it just was unnecessary. You were gonna play it again?
As well,
Here,
they're still talking.
let's play. Let's exit it. Okay, this for real is gonna be our last match. I don't want to be Oro again. So I'll have to if you keep challenging me.
Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
I'm just gonna be the classics.
Well, I got the picture. Well, I got the picture. Yeah, I'm waiting for this.
I mean, I'm not going to be good, so.
But yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, Vimeo is not safe from any of this stuff, and I know what they're doing now is they are going after more content creators for political reasons. They actually just announced, and I think I actually got this wrong on the podcast. I was telling Abby that YouTube announced that they aren't going to allow any videos anymore questioning or trying to poke holes in any sort of mass casualty events. And the way that it was worded could apply to anybody making films that questioning the 9/11 events. But it was actually Vimeo that recently put that policy online, and it sort of followed, like it happened a couple of months after Dawson's account was taken away. So yeah, I'm definitely aware of that, and I don't think anywhere is safe anymore online. It's too bad that Vimeo didn't sort of stick to their guns and remain sort of the free speech type platform that they originally set out to be. Because if you go on Vimeo, it's actually one of the only video sites that's commercial that has pornography on it. You can watch weird things.
I don't think
like,
that'll stay forever.
No, it won't, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it makes it unique. There's a lot of like artsy, fartsy, like nudity stuff on Vimeo. There's a lot of like weird things. Like Lori and I randomly found some like twerking videos that were like nude, and we were just like, "What? This is on Vimeo?"
We did? Was
Yeah.
I with you when you were
Maybe I
watching
did that by myself. Maybe I did that by myself late at night. Yeah, thanks again for joining us on MAME Politics, guys. It was a blast. And Lori and I are off to see ASCAT tonight. If you guys are familiar with Upright Citizens Brigade.
I'm so excited. Robbie got them for me for Christmas, but I know he's going to have a good time too.
Yeah. So take care, guys. You're the best. And I'm just going to give one more plug. If you want to get access to all of the locked episodes of MAME Politics, which is at least 1/3 of them that have been aired so far, you can unlock them all by becoming a subscriber of mine at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. And if you're not already, follow me at Twitter at Fluorescent Grey. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.